Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of George Reviews. And we're here to talk about more Last of Us. Episode 2 has aired, and does it hold up? Is it continuing the consistent tone and excellence of the first episode? Well, let's find out right here on George Reviews. So The Last of Us Episode 2, entitled Infected, which aired last Sunday. And this one felt kind of fast. Not in a rushed way, but it just felt really fast in terms of the episode just went by really fast. And I was, enjoying the ride, going along with everything. It's definitely somewhat continuing the path of the game, but doing its own thing at the same time, which I do appreciate. I feel like it's keeping people who've played the game on their toes a little bit, which is good. There's much to enjoy and much to be taken surprised by. And, episode 2 did not disappoint. I was a little underwhelmed on my first viewing of it after I watched the episode. It was definitely shorter than the first episode, and so I was expecting a little bit more. They're definitely kind of, compared to the pacing of the game and in the series, it's definitely, the pacing is ramped up a lot. It feels like 3-4 hours before Joel and Tess and Ellie even get to the destination that they're going to. So they definitely ramped things up in episode 2, which I was a fan of. And they even improved on things from the game, in my opinion. I definitely have some mixed feelings about Tess when it comes to the first game and her fate as a character, but we'll definitely get into that. And from this point on, full-blown spoilers for the episode. If you have not watched the episode, go ahead and watch it on HBO Max and come back and watch this review. So we start with another flashback, this time in 2003 again, and the first initial outbreak, I believe, in Indonesia. And we get a professor character who is really, really great, and it was really kind of surprising in terms of where is this going to go, how is this character going to be introduced, and what's going to happen to this character. Are they just executing people left and right as this thing is spreading? But no, she's there to kind of test and look. So she experiences firsthand what this virus and outbreak is going to be. And of course, she only sees one devastating way of handling this, which is to bomb everyone in the city. They were able to locate some of the people who were infected, but there's still 14 or so workers missing. And so there's a lot of uncertainty of how this thing is going to spread. And the only way to contain it is to bomb. And it's a very devastating thing to, even think about. And of course, we're kind of put into the shoes of this person. What the right thing to do isn't always the most humane thing to do. And I thought that was really interesting kind of contrast of this intro, and I really like the pattern we're going in with these introductions, with these cold opens, that maybe every cold open will start with a flashback, and then we'll be kind of taken into the present of the story. So I'm definitely a fan of where these cold opens are going. If we get a flashback every episode, and I just say welcome it. And we kind of continue on with Tess, Joel, and Ellie as they're going in to their destination. By this point, I could tell that we're going to be losing Tess in this episode. I thought maybe we'd have her till episode 3 because it's how the game paces and how it kind of goes. So we're kind of taking on this journey with the 3 of them. We're just on them for the entire episode, which I'm guessing every episode is going to be focusing entirely on the path and journey of Ellie and Joel. And we get some really, really good production design, some really good, I guess I could call it set dressing. I don't know. I think that's a kind of almost an insult to the form when you look at the open world of these sets and of this look. And it definitely looks like the game. Maybe some of the backgrounds could be CGI, but at this point it really doesn't matter because they do such a good attention to detail on all the rubble of the buildings, everything that's falling apart on the buildings and the world. And we get some really spooky stuff in this episode, specifically when they cut through the museum and when they're attacked by a few clickers, which was something I was a little nervous about coming into the show, how they're going to handle the clickers. And I gotta say, they did a really good job. I did notice at first some awkward movements, but I guess it's just kind of getting used to how they're doing the clickers in this versus the game. But they do cut it pretty close to the style of the clickers from the game, but also kind of giving room to do their own thing with it, which I really enjoyed. That sequence is everything that I wanted it to be, you know, from playing that sequence in the game and how it's adapted onto the television show is just perfect. For lack of a better term, the way everything was really quiet and everything was kind of sneaking around, and just the tone and the atmosphere of everything was just so brilliantly done. You know, it is definitely very kind of horrific and suspenseful, and I think that's everything that needed to be for the show. And I just gotta applaud Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, everyone on board. Neil Druckmann did direct this episode really beautifully. This is his first kind of television credits of directing something. Of course, he's directed the games. He just did a very phenomenal job with everything, and I gotta take my hat off to him. He was just really, really brilliant in his execution and everything. But let's get to the elephant in the room, the big, I guess, twist of the episode or of the story of The Last of Us is the sacrifice of Tess. Now, this is something in the original game I had kind of an issue with, and I actually shut off the game for months before picking it back up, just because it was so upsetting and so kind of cold and somewhat familiar, you know. I mean, especially in zombie apocalypse type material, type content, whether it's film, television, video games, or whatever, you're going to have a big sacrificial moment for a featured side character or supporting character, even a lead character. And you know, I didn't expect Tess to be along for the entire journey, but I definitely wanted more time with Tess in the original game, and I kind of would have enjoyed a little more with Tess in the series. You know, even if we got just one more episode with her before, to kind of get to know her, to kind of, you know, kind of get more of a feeling for her. I mean, we get enough. They definitely did a good job at presenting less is more in terms of the character, you know, how she is very kind of cold to Ellie at first, but then she warms up and realizes that Ellie is, you know, their only hope for surviving this thing. And so they did a good job at presenting that with the character of Tess in the series, and she will definitely be missed. And Anna Tarv did just an amazing job at playing the character, definitely giving a new spin on the character. One who seems a little bit more empathetic than the Tess from the video game, I would say. And that's one thing about the series that it doesn't really like bother me, but it definitely are making these characters more empathetic in a very apathetic kind of world, which is an interesting dynamic. I really feel at first in the game, everyone's just very apathetic and very just kind of cold. And the way Tess goes in the game, I thought was a lot colder than how she goes out in the sequence in this episode. So to kind of compare and contrast, I know a lot of reviewers and reactors aren't really spoiling the game for people, but this is something I just have to do. For myself and for people who are watching, and thank you for that. That, you know, in the video game, they're kind of running from Fedra, the, you know, militia that's kind of has like a martial law on the QZ and everything. They're kind of running from them. And when they go to the compound, or when they get to their destination, they see that everyone has been executed, and then Fedra shows up and Tess wants to buy them some time. It's very cold and it's very just fucked up how Tess goes out in that way. And it's very cold and fucked up how she goes out by the infected. The journeys kind of go a little off path from each other in terms of the game and the television series, but they all kind of end up in the same kind of destination, which is Tess's sacrifice. And I feel like the show did a brilliant job. The infected coming in, that kiss, oh my god, that kiss was just that was just so fantastic. It is such a disturbing, grotesque way. And just how the infection is passed. I know they're not doing airborne spores in the show, which I'm a little disappointed about, because that was one aspect of the game I really liked, you know, when they mask up and they kind of have to go through the airborne spores. And I thought, you know, that definitely brought a really creepier atmosphere to the show. But of course, yeah, I guess they don't want to cover up the beautiful faces of Bella Ramsey and Pedro Pascal wearing masks, you know, and everyone else in the show. But, you know, it's just It's just a preference thing, you know. How they're doing it is just fine. I really like the atmosphere of the airborne spores and the kind of lighting and everything, and all the technicalities of that. It feels just very just abrupt the way Tess goes out in both the show and the game. You know, that she's willing to, you know, quickly sacrifice herself. Of course, she's bitten, you know, she's infected. She's going to become infected and turn into something that she would rather die. She would rather be dead. And so that definitely, that motivation does make sense. I'm not saying it's bad writing or anything. It's just when I played the game, I thought it was just really, really cool because I really was growing to like Tess. I really wanted more kind of exploration of her and Joel's relationship. And of course, we kind of get that hinted that they do have a little romantic kind of bond, even if it's just out of convenience in the game and somewhat in the show. But we don't really get much background of Tess as a character. And when I first played the game, I felt like it was more of just a plot device just to get Ellie and Joel just together so they can have their bond and their character development and everything. And I don't really think I've kind of changed my mind on this. Of course, you know, I think the whole thing that goes down with Fedra and Tess in the game is a lot kind of colder and more brutal than getting attacked by infected. That's just a personal, you know, preference, you know, opinion and whatnot. But in the show, they handle it very well. You know, it makes more sense that they'd be chased by infected instead of by Fedra. You know, I mean, who are they to Fedra really, anyways, to be kind of hunted down and whatnot, and you know, to kind of spring off a horde of infected was really good, and it was really creepy. And you know, as I said, it goes to that really epic kind of kiss, how she's kind of fighting against herself to become infected, but also like letting go at the same time as she pours gas all over the ground with grenades, and she throws the lighter down, and kaboom, Tess is gone from our story, and now we're just stuck with Ellie and Joel. And of course, we will get Bill next week, which I'm very excited for Nick Offerman's performance of Bill. I think they couldn't have picked anyone better to play him, but more on that next week. This was a really good, solid episode. I liked the first episode a little bit more, just because we got more screen time of everything, and by the time it was over, it's like, whoa, was that like 30 minutes or something? But I mean, you know, it was about 50 minutes or so, which is fine, and I just kind of wanted more out of the episode, I guess. I wanted more time with Tess, but we got just enough. And as they say, less is more in cinema. And, you know, it definitely gives you gives a more kind of painful reaction to everything that happens with Tess. And again, Anna Torv just did a fantastic job, as well as everyone in the cast. Episode 2, Infected, was really great, and I'm really excited to see where the rest of the show goes. But those are going to be my jumbo thoughts on the second episode, Infected, on The Last of Us. Now, what did you think of this episode? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you wanting it to follow the exact same path, or a little divulging along the way? I'd really like to know down there in the comments. Please like and subscribe if you'd be so kind. My name is George Ray. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. Please remember to keep calm, keep cool, keep chill, embrace great cinema. There's still more Last of Us to come, so I'm very excited to share this journey with you guys. I'll see you on the next episode. Until then, peace out.